Hi, my name is Sarah. Pronouns are she, her. This is my YouTube channel, Old Tiny Birdcage. I like to do crafty things and artsy things and read and thrifting and gardening, all kinds of activities. So I just felt like making a YouTube channel or continuing a YouTube channel because I recently got back into cross stitch. I had learned it when I was a little girl, when I was a little kid, with my mother, back in like the 90s. She likes to do like kind of like Christmassy, cutesy things, which are, also fun. But I recently got back into it and I like to do like more witchy or subversive or like commentary kind of things. So I do get into politics sometimes, just as a warning. Because we live in political times. So I live here in the Cincinnati, Ohio area, so I am close by the Keepsakes store, so I'm very lucky and very fortunate in that. I've been there a couple times in the past few weeks, so definitely getting hooked on going there every so often. I don't have many whips or finished objects right now. I have a few finished objects from like past things that you can see behind me there. Some past projects that are, not quite what I like to do now, but I did enjoy them. But I can also show you what I'm into now. My first is a finished object that I just finished this past few weeks is called Baba Yaga by the Witchy Stitcher. So let me show you. And I try not to talk when my mouth is covered because I know some people rely on lip reading, but if I mess that up, I apologize. I'll try to see if I can get translation or translator notes or transcript notes down below. This is by the Witchy Stitcher. It's on Ada 14 count, just the kind you get at like the craft store. So again, I was just getting back into it. It's DMC threads. I just got like an urge to stitch something, and I've really been into Baba Yaga folklore recently, so I really wanted to do a Baba Yaga pattern. So I searched online. I've seen Witchy Stitcher's stuff before, and I've like favorited it in Etsy, but I hadn't actually bought one or done one. So that's the first one I've done. But I am a fan of more of her stuff, and I do have like more things favorited in her shop. I use the called for DMC. I strayed a little bit from that. I got, because I hadn't been into cross stitch for quite a while. And again, my past experience was just, things you buy at the craft store. So I had bought like a big roll of what I thought was like black DMC, because that pattern uses a lot of black. So I figured I'd need a lot more than a few skeins. So I got a big roll. I think it's like maybe the pearl cotton, but I use like one thread of that instead of two threads of the regular DMC. But the rest of the colors I use two threads. I also skipped here. There are some mistakes if you've noticed that things are a little off, but I was able to fudge it. I skipped here in the eye. There's like one stitch that's like a white. I decided to just skip that because I like the blank Ada look. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. Now I just have to figure out how to frame it. I did miscalculate where to start, and I don't have quite the barrier up here that I should have. So I've got some options. I've been looking at the thrift store for frames. I've got a couple options. Here is one that I picked up. It's oval. It would just like barely fit inside, which is, a concern. Again, I've never really framed a project like that. I usually just kind of slap them in the frame like they're a picture previously, which I know isn't like the best practice. Here's another frame. Again, found it at a thrift store for like $1. I think it was like half off day on that color, so got it for like 50 cents. I'm trying to find things thrifted and secondhand as much as I can, just because I know that there's enough frames in the world probably for what I need. So once I was getting started on that, I really started looking into Flosstube, and I just kind of like fell in. So I'm really back into it hard. So I started watching Flosstubers and realized that a moon stitch is a thing. So I got real excited. So this, my first moon stitch, I started on February 12th for the full moon. And I used, this is Black Cat Hollow Part 1 by Barbara Anna Designs. Here's my progress so far. Okay, and this is stitched on hand-dyed fabric from Keepsakes. 16 count Ada in by Needle Bling, I think is the company. And the color is called Broomgrass, so I thought that was very fitting for some witches. Let me see if I have the pattern ready to show. Sorry, I apologize for crinkling noises. Here's the pattern. I also picked that up at Keepsakes. I didn't realize it was a part 1 when I picked it up. I did see like the whole set, but I didn't think it was like they had to go together. I just liked the first part, and I was just getting back into cross stitch, so I didn't want to commit to the all 3 parts. But now I do regret it and wish I'd started with all 3 parts and had like a big piece of Ada where they all could go on. But that's okay. If I want to, I can make the other 2 and just kind of hang them together. I'm also thinking, since I have enough fabric, because they gave me generous margins, that I can maybe put a saying at the bottom. I was thinking of adding a quote from Bedknobs and Broomsticks, a witch is always a lady unless circumstances mean otherwise. Because witches fighting Nazis is my aesthetic right now. And again, I'm just doing that for full moons, so I'm just keeping that to the side for now. My next whip is The Raven by Lottie Da Stitches, and I'm pretty close to finished on this. So here is what I have so far. So I just have to do the rest of the raven and the decoration on the bottom there, but that is very close to done. Again, I like spooky, witchy things and Edgar Allan Poe. Anything with a crow or raven, I'm really into right now. This is on 16 count Ada by Bee Stitch Me in Orchid. I'm using the NPI silk except for the DMC for this color right here. They were out of stock at the store, so I got that in the DMC. I think that's the DMC 413. Instead, I don't notice a huge difference, but again, like it's kind of like a decorative stitch at the bottom, so it's not gonna interrupt a patterning or anything, I don't think. And I'm really enjoying it so far. I like the lettering. And again, these are one of my first times working with hand-dyed Ada, and I really like it. The store plain Ada is very, very stiff, and I get why that's useful too, but it is a very different experience. I even tried some stitching in hand on this one. I didn't like it as much. I'm using like a loop method for one strand to start my my threads. It's the pattern called for like 1/2 on linen, so I was doing 1 per square, 1 thread on the Ada, on the 16 count Ada. And I think it's turning out pretty well. Okay, my next whip is exciting. So I got into looking at eBay for like old kits from watching Cross Stitch the Globe. Again, not the super expensive ones that they sometimes talk about. I'm not a Disney stitcher. I do like Disney movies, but just like the Thomas Kincaid style just isn't for me, and the full coverage just isn't my thing. But I have discovered like 90s Dimensions kits, and I just couldn't resist this one. It's Magic in Motion. The designer is Lane Gordon, and it's from 1995, and I love this wizard. Like, my spouse said he looks like he belongs on the side of a van, like in a good way. So, but this is my first kit. Usually I just use bobbins. So this is my first experience with like thread management in this kind of way. This is all the kit thread, except there is like some gold metallic that it comes with that they told you to put it in an envelope. So I have that here. And so this is my first time working with kind of like a thread keeper or floss drop style. It's very different than what I'm used to. I usually, again, just use the bobbins. So it's different that I don't have to cut it each time, but it's working pretty well so far. It did take a while to organize because, again, it does come to you in like a mess, a little tangle. I actually had to buy this pattern and kit twice. The first time I ordered it, it arrived to me. The seller like had said it like had never been opened, etc. When I got it, what looked like happened is the original like owner, maybe from 1995, maybe a little bit later, cut open the packaging, took out the pattern, and left everything else in, and taped it back up. So I told the seller, and they said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'll give you a refund." So I actually have more of the supplies if I need them, so that's comforting to know I won't run out of thread. But here is my start so far. I just started this yesterday. Yeah, so there's just a center start. Again, I'm using all the supplies from the kit, even the needle. The needle minder I got at Keepsakes. I forget the maker. It was just on the wall, and it was like a raven on a skull, so I had to get it. And then, so this is just like part of the wizard sleeve, and it's looking so good so far. It's calling for 3 threads. Right now, I don't have any blends, but there are blends in the pattern, so I'm curious how that'll work. I've never done that before. I'm also using a vintage hoop. I got this at, there's a store in Cincinnati called Scrap It Up. They specialize in secondhand craft supplies. So, and those cost like 10 cents each. And they're not like vintage, like, 100 years old vintage, but they're, maybe from the 60s, 70s, and they're much better quality than what you can get in the store today, I think. They keep things much tighter, and they just feel nicer in my hand. I can't explain it. Like the new bamboo ones, I guess, just feel so slick, and breakable, and these feel a lot more sturdy, even though they're not like that much heavier. So also here's just the random egg bag I'm using as a project bag. Project bags for me, I don't have any like project bags yet. I haven't really gotten into them. I'm kind of curious about making them myself, so I'm kind of excited about getting into that. Again, so that's all stitched on the Dimensions kit information, so I'm really excited about getting more into those. There's a couple I'm keeping my eye on, so maybe I'll get more into them, but it's just, I like the kind of 90s whimsy goth style of it, and really wanted to get into that. So that's it for cross-stitch things. I do have some other crafts that I'm really into. I was mostly a knitter for a long, long time, until I got back into cross-stitch, and I still do like to knit. It's just cross-stitch is kind of taken over, but I do still knit. I started when I was, again, much younger, high school, as long ago as that was, and I didn't really make clothing for myself just because I felt as a plus size person there weren't many in my size, and you know, they weren't things I wanted to do, and you had to buy a lot of yarn and things like that. So I was mostly, again, like a craft store, big box craft store person. There weren't many local, like, you know, local yarn stores where I grew up. I didn't grow up in the Cincinnati area, so I grew up in more rural Ohio. So my experiences with that, and then, you know, I kind of just made accessories and scarves and hats and things for family. And I got back into it heavy during the pandemic. I just was seeing indie dyers on Instagram and like wanted to support people. So I bought some sock yarn. I'm like, okay, well, I'll try it. And I tried knitting socks and I really enjoyed them. So I do knit socks occasionally. And then I got into knitting sweaters. So I've been making a lot more sweaters for myself. So the one I'm working on right now is in my bag here. And this is called the Sheep Camp sweater. Kind of hard to organize right now. So this is called the Sheep Camp sweater. It's by Jennifer Berg is the name of the designer if you go on Ravelry, if you use Ravelry. She's also known as the Native Knitter, I think, on Instagram. So again, I bought the pattern, I want to say a few years ago during like a Indigenous Peoples Day. And I just think it is symbolic to knit on something that's designed with Indigenous culture in mind. The pattern is called Sheep Camp Sweater. And I use Scout Plum Heather. I bought it during like a sale to like end a dye lot. So I only have 3 skeins, which I don't think are enough for like a full sweater. So it's going to be like maybe a short sleeve or 3/4 sleeve situation. I'm going to see how far I can get. And the white is like an undyed yarn from my stash that was also DK. I think I'm making size F, to be honest. I can't remember. I'll just have to get back into it when I count how many stitches are on the sleeves and get back to it. I haven't been keeping that good of notes on it, unfortunately. I just wanted to kind of get in and do it and not worry about notes and things. So that's what I've been working on. Right now I'm on the body. I think I may have ripped back because I was at my local stitch night when I was working on it, and I had forgotten my phone and realized I wanted to get into the ribbing. So I just kind of went with whatever needles I had in my bag and was doing 1 by 1, but the pattern calls for another size needle and 2 by 2 ribbing. So I think I'm just gonna rip back and redo that. I only had like 1 or 2 rows done at the stitch night, so that's okay. So excited to get that done. I'd really like some more kind of like everyday throw it on kind of sweaters. So for future plans, I did go to a Joanna Fabrics like closing sale or bankruptcy sale or whatever's going on right now with them. I picked up some Wooble kits. I can crochet, just not very well. And like I haven't done anything like amigurumi before. I've tried and like with other kits and kind of failed. So I heard the Woobles were good. My sister is a big crocheter and she says she's heard the Woobles are good. So those were on sale, and those like never go on sale. So I got some of those to try. So I'm excited to give that a shot. I also want to work my way up for cross stitch wise. I want to work my way up to a sampler. I'm just trying to find out which one I want to do. But that's definitely something I want to do at some point. I also have a purchase for the Nashville market. I pre-ordered the Rebel Stitcher pattern. It's, I forgot to write down the name of it, but it's a Quaker sampler, but it says we can still love each other and disagree unless your disagreement is about my right to exist, basically. So again, pertinent to our times. For reading, I'm currently in the middle of some nonfiction books, so I want to finish those before I like recommend or give a review. But I do want to recommend like what really got me into my Baba Yaga phase is the book Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott, I think. It's a really good book. I would say it's not like a fluffy, escapist read. There are some dark things that happen in there. So just, reader beware. Take care of your mental health. But it is a really good book about like the nature of myth and storytelling and culture and how to take care of a Baba Yaga hut. And again, like another kind of hobby I have right now is thrifting. So I've been looking for frames, cross-stitch supplies. Like my dream is to come across one of those dimensions kits in the store at a thrift store, but we'll see. I do thrift clothes. Like this shirt is secondhand from J. Crew that I'm wearing right now, and I'm trying to thrift more clothes and buy secondhand whenever I can. Again, it is a little more challenging as a plus size person, but I definitely want to give that a go when I can, there's enough clothes on the planet. Like, we don't need many more. I do like to sew occasionally, and make my own clothes. And again, I want to try to source things as responsibly as possible. But I think that it is important to have your own hobbies and make things for yourself, and to like share and hand down to other people. I'm also trying to get into gardening. We recently bought this house. I had a little garden. I grew like a lot of cucumbers from one little cucumber bush and made some pickles. So I'm excited to get back into that once spring hits. I tried to have like a late fall winter garden. It just got too cold. Even though we live in Cincinnati, it is just a little too cold. We had that cold snap, and we also have a groundhog that likes to eat everything in our yard. So during the summer, I do have to watch out for that. And I also want to get into like natural dyeing. So I want to try like dyeing some of my own Aida fabric. I think that would be fun. So. Or dyeing my own linen. I haven't tried stitching with linen yet, or anything other than just Aida, just because it's what I grew up with. It's what I'm used to. I want to try it sometime, but I want to kind of build up my skills to get up to it. Again, I was just kind of stitching how I wanted to stitch without knowing anything about what techniques were and everything. I think what my mother had taught me was called English style. It's what like you make every X as you go. I had picked up like a cross stitch book. I think it was like the not the Witchy Stitcher. Sorry, I forget the username, but something in Cardinal. They do some other spooky patterns that I liked, so I read through that book at the library, and I can't recommend the library enough. If you're looking for cross-stitch magazines, you can check them out and read them right on your phone or your tablet. If you have one in your area where they have that as an option, I highly recommend that. Because I've been looking through cross-stitch magazines and been seeing some things I want to do. So that's like a good, inexpensive way to get into things. I also see some books on there for cross-stitch sometimes. So I definitely want to read more of those, especially the like kind of witchy, creepy stitcher kind of things. Well, so that's everything I have for this episode. So I'm so glad you joined me today. I hope you had fun and were able to stitch on something or just relax or maybe get you through a hard time. But thank you for joining me and have a good day.